these faces.
Oh yeah, this is like I always say, oh my God, I love you guys. Yeah, I should be on. I'm like on the wrong side of the table. I mean, this is. I feel like this is home. This is my people. So it's wonderful.
It's amazing. I thought we'd start our conversation at the very beginning of your career. Your first big breakout was in M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. Was it? Yes, amazing movie, right? Was it true that you were cast based on a performance in a Shakespeare play?
Yes, I did a performance of As You Like It, which was written by William Shakespeare at a theater in New York, the Public Theater. And Knight saw me in this play. I was 21, had just turned 21, and he waited afterwards to introduce himself. I was a huge fan. I had been watching the behind the scenes DVD footage for Unbreakable on like nonstop. And so I actually saw Knight in the audience, and I was like, whoa, that's M. Night Shyamalan. So he waited afterwards and introduced himself, and then a few weeks later, asked to go to lunch, and at lunch, he handed me the script to The Village and offered it to me, which was crazy. And now that I've been in the industry for over 20 years, I realize now more than ever how truly insane that was. But he's the kind of guy to make those sort of bold choices with confidence, so that was really cool.
Did you feel a lot of pressure at the time?
I didn't feel a lot of pressure because Knight was very empowering and rehearsed with me for about 6 months before we did the movie. And so I was very, very, very prepared because of the time that he took with me. And I was used to sort of being like the director's little buddy because I was always following my dad around growing up. And that sort of just like immediately transferred in my relationship with Knight. Like I was the director's little buddy. And so I would just be there as he was doing other meetings and whatnot. So I felt very included and very in the know and never like a meat puppet. Actors can sometimes feel like meat puppets. And that was never the case with Knight. And so I didn't feel overwhelmed, surprisingly. Also, the other actors were so inclusive and wonderful. I mean, Sigourney Weaver who's such a legend, was so protective of me as a young woman in my early 20s. And so it was very cool.
Sounds like an amazing experience. Since we're at LA Comic-Con, we have to talk Spider-Man 3.
Yes, please. Yes.
What is your strongest memory of that experience?
Oh, so many good memories. I just saw Kirsten Dunst 2 nights ago, and we hung out because she has a movie coming out called Roofman that she is superb in this film. And we were just, we were reminiscing for sure. I mean, it was a really, I remember being a part of Spider-Man 3 and thinking to myself, wow, it's so cool how the crew and the actors have become almost like a company, like a band of like a little circus where they know what their show is and they come together and each time they want to dazzle the audiences more. And I was really impressed by Kirsten's involvement in it, of course Tobey's involvement in it. Sam Raimi is unbelievably collaborative and inclusive, and just their enthusiasm and their collective focus on creating something that delivered for audiences really inspired me. And I just, at that point, I was like, I'm just going to make it my mission to try to be in movie 1 of a franchise. And it wasn't movie 1, it was Jurassic Park 4, technically. But to get to be part of something that continued was just fantastic.
I heard you did some of your own stunts on Spider-Man 3. Is that true?
Well, it's, as an actor, you want to be able to do as much as you can, but you work very closely with the stunt choreographers and coordinators and performers to be able to perform, and then they know the point at which they need to take over. So yeah, I definitely, I got a lot of great training, and I was very enthusiastic, and I still feel some of those stunts from time to time. Getting caught by Spider-Man it can sort of pull your arm out a little bit. But it was wonderful. And then I found out after I did the movie that I was actually pregnant with my son, who's now a rock climber, and he has blonde hair like Gwen Stacy. So he's like a hybrid Spider-Man Gwen Stacy boy in a way.
I love that. You just mentioned Jurassic World, obviously huge franchise, amazing hit. What was it like to work with dinosaurs, though?
Oh my gosh, working with dinosaurs is so cool. It's so fun. You know, so many of us as kids, we love dinosaurs. I was obsessed with Land Before Time growing up. I named my dog, Land Before Time. Oh, so good, so good. And I felt like in Jurassic World Rebirth, I felt some Land Before Time vibes, to be honest. I was like, ooh, this feels kind of Land Before Time. There were definitely a lot of moments. And so getting to also watching Jurassic Park in the theaters as, you know, when I was 12, it was very impressionable for me. Made a huge impact. I was like, those are the kinds of movies I want to do. And so getting to ultimately be part of them has been so wonderful. And the fact that the franchise, you know, I got to be in Jurassic Park 4, 5, and 6, and that now there's Jurassic Park 7, you know what I mean? It continues on and it evolves every single time. And the talent that the producers bring together and that Steven Spielberg invites into the process is always so impressive. So, you know.
Aw, thank you. Your character Claire changed so much over the series. Did you feel like you were changing with Claire, or like what did you feel like when you were developing the character over the different movies?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I had never had the experience of playing a character over multiple projects, basically. Like, I had never been on a TV show. I'd never done anything serialized. I guess that's the best way to describe it. And so usually my character arc had the beginning, middle, and end in that, you know, one project. And with Claire, it's never a sure thing that there's going to be another movie. So every movie you need to treat it like that could be the end. And that's certainly how we treated Jurassic World. When we got the green light for Fallen Kingdom, I immediately was like, okay, I'm not cutting my hair because I want you to see the amount of time that has happened between the two films on my hair. Like my hair story and hair journey was very important to me. And then, yes, naturally, you know, you do evolve and you get older. And, you know, the characters that were kids get older. And so having kind of a 10-year period of playing a character for me was allowed for a lot of introspection. It was really fun. It was great.
Amazing. So you also are an amazing director. You've directed some great episodes of The Mandalorian, Boba Fett. Very excited.
Thank you.
What has it been like playing around in the Star Wars sandbox?
It is the best. It is such a joy. It is such a privilege. I just finished shooting 2 episodes this summer for Ahsoka season 2. Y'all, it's so good. It is so good. It is beautiful. It is thrilling. It is adventurous. It is romantic. It is all the things that you want from an epic story. And I adore Dave Filoni. I would do anything for and with Dave Filoni. He's an extraordinary leader and visionary, and he's super funny. And the guy knows what he's talking about. And so, yes, I just got to finish that up and working on the cut. And it is just one of the greatest privileges and joys of my life, getting to play in that sandbox.
You come from this background of you're an actor who's worked with directors. How has your acting experience impacted how you direct?
Yeah, I mean, my acting experience has hugely impacted the way that I direct, because because I like the actors the most. Because I obviously, I really, and that's, I shouldn't say that. There's no the most, but I connect very viscerally to actors, and I also know what actors can bring to the table from a problem-solving perspective. And often actors are the least trusted members within the process. So I try to early on, I talk about not individual actors, I talk about the acting department. It is a department, it needs its prep time. And I think for me, getting to just really focus in on everyone just doing their best and bringing their all to the table is, I think, my first and foremost, my job as a director when I'm there. Because I do believe, I believe in a lot of supernatural tenets, maybe not to too much of a woo-woo point, but I do believe what actors are capable of does lean into the supernatural. It is shape-shifting. They can change the frequency of a room. They can change their heart rate. And so it's thrilling to get to really, really, really lean in on that, especially in something like Star Wars, because from a genre perspective, there are so many wish fulfillments that are getting fulfilled. And so within that, if there can be a performance that just hits you at your core and just makes you laugh from a genuine place, or makes you fall in love, or makes you genuinely worry, or feel scared, that's what I'm always looking for, and it always comes back to truth within the performance for me.
It's amazing. I think we have time for one or two fan questions if we make them fast. So if you could say your name, where you're from, and question really quick. Do we have mics? Yeah.
Hello, my name is Steven. So I'm kind of curious, what's some of the best directing advice you got from your dad?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've gotten a lot of great advice from my dad, more through how he operates in the world than sort of prescriptive advice that he's giving me. Oftentimes I'm trying to solicit advice from him and he's like, "Oh no, it'll be easy. You'll figure it out, Don't let me mess up your perspective on this. It's just best if you go in this, into this and kind of discover it on your own." But that said, I grew up on movie sets. I was so lucky. And that's not the case for every kid who's growing up in the business. I mean, because my dad was the director, he was in a position where he was allowed to have his kids on set. And because he grew up himself as a child actor, he was mentally thinking that, oh yeah, it's normalized for your kids to be on set. And so just getting to grow up in that environment, watch how he collaborates, watch how he is as a storyteller and as an artist, and how he evolves, and how he continually surrounds himself with individuals who challenge him and elevate his work. I think it's been through example. It's been through example. But then there's also just a lot of great truisms that he'll just drop from time to time. That's very helpful. But I would say, going back to the actor thing, he says that 80% of directing is casting the right person and then letting them do their thing.
Thank you so much for your question. I think there's one right here.
Rick from Whittier, California. With Robert Redford's passing, what are some of your fondest memories having worked on Pete's Dragon with him?
Yeah, I got to work on Pete's Dragon with Robert Redford, the great Robert Redford, and he played, I played his daughter, he played my father, and we were shooting in New Zealand, and we had a lot of scenes doing two things. One was walking through the forest together, talking, and the other were scenes in a car where either I was driving or Bob was driving. And so if you know anything about, kind of acting in those scenarios, you end up spending the entire day and, many days and sometimes many weeks in the car or walking the path in the forest. So you can imagine the amount of stories that I was privy to was remarkable. And some things that really stood out to me. He talked about how the landscape in New Zealand reminded him of Santa Monica in the 30s and 40s. He was someone who loved planet Earth. Before he wanted to be an actor, he wanted to be a geologist. He really appreciated the natural landscape to a degree that showed his ability to be present. He had a beginner's mind. He was so curious. The technology that David Lowery was using on Pete's Dragon was in association or in collaboration with Weta, which was created by Peter Jackson. And Babb was constantly asking questions. You know, what's that? Why are you putting that marker there? What does that do? And lastly, what I'll say is that there was on his drive to work every morning, there was a horse that he would drive past, that a lot of us would drive past, and something didn't quite feel right about this horse. And Babb identified it pretty fast, that the horse was being abused and neglected, and tried to figure out if he could get some people there to kind of help this horse out, and eventually took it upon himself, and he physically himself went and saved that horse and set that horse up at a sanctuary. And then he liked to say that he stole a horse, which like he kind of did, I guess, and he saved the horse. So, you know, it was an honor to get to work with him. It was enlightening because we often think about these people as being almost like gods. And then when you spend time with them, you're just like, yeah, you know, he's smart and he has excellent common sense and he's you know, beautiful and all of those things. But really, everything that he did came from his heart and his love of something, whether it's love of emerging storytellers or love of the planet or love of community building or love of good story well told. Babb committed himself to making sure that that was possible, not just for himself and his peers, but for anyone who had that dream themselves. And that's why he created Sundance, and that's why he made the movies that he did. And that's why he was the way that he was with me. You know, someone at the time in my early 30s, directing some, you know, acting some, really curious about what a guy like him had to say. And he was generous of spirit, and he touched every single person who he interacted with in that way. And so it's just a reminder for us all, we don't know what paths we're on. We don't know in what way people are intimidated by us. It's likely that people are in some way, shape, or form. You might be surprised. And if you can lean into genuine connection and kindness in every possible moment and finding ways that you can be in service and be of service to others with your knowledge, with your expertise, with your access. That's what Robert Redford did for his entire life. And I am so grateful for his work, and I'm so grateful to him. Thank you for your question.
That's an incredible memory and what an incredible question. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And let's give a big round of applause for our amazing guest, Bryce Dallas Howard.